We've got two presentations. First up, Japan Gold. Okay, and we have John Proust, who's the chairman and CEO. John.
Well, good afternoon. I almost didn't make it in there. I've been overwhelmed by the number of meetings that we've had, and I'm really pleased to be able to step in here and spend a few minutes with you now to introduce you to Japan and mineral exploration opportunities that exist in Japan and the type of discoveries that could be made there. I just have a few slides. The company Japan Gold Corp is a company that is a new mineral exploration company. It's listed on the TSX Venture Exchange. It has 68 million shares issued and outstanding. It has a market capitalization of approximately $20 million. And if you want to know more information about it after the presentation, I'm happy to talk to anybody. Our website is japangold.com. So I want to give you a little bit of history about Japan. I think we'll be a unique company that you'll hear about today, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about it. So Japan has a wonderful history of gold mining going right back to the 7th century. There was an incredible part of the culture associated with the production of gold for many, many years, for centuries. Right up to the Second World War, when in 1943 there was a government moratorium that closed all gold mines in 1943. And post the war, only a few of the closed mines were actually reopened. So with the exception of Hishikari, which is listed at the top, those are the main mines that reopened after the war. And you can see the production scenarios there in terms of the number of ounces produced, and you can see the grade. So very good grade and good numbers. Again, those mines closed in the 1970s when the gold standard decoupled, and there was basically a timing of dormancy for this whole mineral gold exploration and production side. In 1981, and actually one comment I'll just make is there became a view in Japan that everything has been found. All discoveries have been made and there's nothing left to be found in Japan. And I sort of ascribe to that too, that anything that pokes out of the ground probably has been found by a prospector in Japan. But in 1981, the Mineral Agency, the Geological Survey of Japan, the MMAJ, drilled a blind hole in the southern island of Kyushu, just 150 meters deep, and they basically tested the volcanic basement contact. And there they made one of the richest gold discoveries in the world, which became the Hishikari mine. The Hishikari mine was ultimately owned by Sumitomo Metal Mining, and the resource that many people may be familiar with, or not, was 8.4 million ounces of gold, averaging 47.3 grams per ton. Of those, 7.4 million ounces have been mined to date at an average of about 40 grams. So a wonderful asset owned by Sumitomo. But again, the country was a closed country. So there wasn't an ability for junior explorers to move into the country. In 2012, that all changed. The government changed the mining law, and they allowed for the first time in the country's history companies to come in, external international companies to come in, set up wholly owned Japanese subsidiaries, and actually acquire 100% interest in exploration permits or 100% interest in mining permits. And we were the first company. So we are the first mover to go into Japan at a time when there had been virtually no exploration since at least the 1970s when the production scenarios ended, or the 1940s when the gold mines were closed. And so we moved very, very quickly. Over a 3-year period, we studied intensively the Japanese government database. We had a lot of internal house knowledge about Japan as well from one of our directors. And then we started working on the permitting program. The permitting system there needed some work. They hadn't done it before, so we provided significant input to help the permitting system come to the fore and become one of the very best permitting systems in the world. And based on that, over the last 2 years, we stepped in and we acquired the major areas that we found prospective throughout Japan. So now it looks like this. So we have 17 major projects throughout Japan. A number of them are on the northern island of Hokkaido, and extending down onto northern Honshu. And then from there, we basically move right down to Kyushu, as either the geology is not right for us in Honshu, or it's too densely populated for us to consider going there. Of our projects, 17 projects, 13 of them are epithermal, high-grade underground gold mine projects, and the other ones are lithocaps with the evidence of porphyry mineralization. Under our epithermal projects, we have 40 high-grade underground gold mines that were closed in 1943 and never reopened, and there's virtually been no drilling through that whole portfolio. So it's a remarkable resource that we're being able to advance. I'll take you to Kyushu just very briefly. We've collaborated with 3 universities, Kyushu University, Akita University, and Hokkaido University, to study their work that they've done over decades of reestablishing new opportunities in the country and looking at the historic work that's been done. Very, very good records, and they helped us collaborate on some of the key areas that we've identified. And you'll see 3 areas here, 2 which straddle the Hishikari mine in the south, and 1 in the north that's close to another historical mine, the Teo mine. Moving from there, I'm going to move right up to Hokkaido in the interest of time. The light green area, again, very prospective at the north. It's called the Katami Metallogenic Province. Too many things to think about. And in there, we have a series of projects. One that's that's adjacent to the major producer there, another Sumitomo asset that produced 2.35 million ounces, just over 6 grams, and closed in 1974. But I'm going to take your attention to one project called the Akutahara project, just to give you sort of evidence of how strong this portfolio is. So this is just one of our projects. It's got several colors that outline various permit status there, but that's one project that's 191 square kilometers. Each of the white banners that are listed there, and there's 17 of them on that area, are high-grade underground gold mines or workings that were closed in 1943 and have virtually had no drilling whatsoever. We found 3 drill holes in that whole project area. We've also found that a number of those projects that are highlighted here are old mines had actually stuck out of the ground, but they're now linked together. So we're finding systems as opposed to going after small old mines and trying to prove up old ounces. And so in one area around the Kitano mine in the northeast side, we've actually found 4 mines over a 6-kilometer by 3/4 of a kilometer wide area, or one large system that we'll be drilling into this year. To just give you a visual reference, and this is one of my favorite pieces that I've been able to find in one of the libraries, the local library there. This was the Kitano mine, just a massive hill in circa 1937. They had found sinter, or a silica cap overlaying this hill, that actually had gold interbedded in the sinter and gold just below the sinter in a clay layer running 5 grams per ton. They had a 500-ton-a-day facility they had built there, and they were scaling it up to 2,000 tons a day with an aerial tramway that was bringing in ore from some of the other little mines that were on the same ridge. Incredibly, this was closed in 1943 in the war, never reopened, and there's only ever been 1 geology hole drilled there. So just a wonderful exploration asset that we'll be drilling offensive holes on later this year to look for the feeder zones that have actually brought that gold to the surface of that hill. We have worked hard to establish ourselves in Japan. We have very strong operational capability there. One of the senior executives, a former chief executive of Sumitomo Corporation, of their Global Minerals Division, is on our board. The head of Sumitomo Metal Mining Corporation, the Global Exploration Group, is on our board, and he was previously the general manager at the Hishikari mine and chief geologist there. We've got very strong local relationships. We've actually brought our own equipment into house. So we've established an operational base in Hokkaido with 3 drill rigs, and we're well set to operate this year. Key points to remember: we're solely focused on Japan. That's why we're called Japan Gold. We've got a substantial property portfolio, as I mentioned, with 17 projects, and we're going to be advancing those through our own efforts, and we're entertaining joint ventures, which we're talking about now, and several other models in terms of how to advance our portfolio. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I'm happy to speak to anybody about Japan Gold. Thank you.